Hi folks, Donnie D here. In part 4 of my little gun restoration project series, I guess you call it, I want to show you my finished receiver, but before I do that, I do want to go over a couple of tricks and tips, or whatever you want to call it, that I've kind of figured out on my own here that might help anybody that wants to try a project like this. First of all, let me go real quick and just go over the basic procedure that you're going to follow. If First of all, if your gun is in pretty good shape, this kit is probably all you're going to need, with the exception of these gloves. It does not come with gloves, and you definitely need a bunch of these gloves. So make sure you buy some of these before you get started. One other tip is, on any particular part of the gun, the barrel, the receiver, the whatever part you're going to try to do, you may can do the whole gun in one day. I'm sure you could if you had a whole, plenty of time to on one day to do it. But I do recommend that you dedicate enough time to do whatever part you're working on and finish it from start to finish. Don't try to go halfway through and then come back the next day, because you got to realize when you start stripping the finish off this gun and you get it down to bare metal, it immediately starts rusting again. So you need to go on ahead and get it degreased, get it glue and rust off of it, and then get it blued all in the same day if you can. So anyway, basically the procedure for doing this, or I dropped my camera there while I was yakking, but didn't mean to do that. But anyway, first procedure is to clean and degrease the gun using this stuff right here. After you work on that a while, then you're going to rinse it off, and you're going to apply this rust and glue remover, and it'll tell you how to do that. I just tell you, don't skimp on that. Take your time. That's probably the longest part of the process. Try to get that part, barrel, receiver, whatever it is, as clean and perfect as you can, nice and shiny. Then after you rinse it, you want to make sure you've got on a nice fresh pair of these gloves, because from now on, once you get all that done, you don't want to touch that barrel again. You are going to clean and degrease it one more time, and I recommend, after you clean and degrease it that last time, go on ahead and give it a rub down with this alcohol. That will just give you a little bit more degreasing. It works real good, helps it on that. But then when you get ready to apply your glue, just follow the instructions, not even a problem. If your gun is in kind of tough shape the way this one was, you're going to need a few extras. You're going to need the gloves. You're going to need a few pieces of extra grits of sandpaper, a little bit heavier grits, working down. I started at 120, worked down to 400. A heat gun is nice, or a blow dry, helps dry the parts and heat them up a little bit. I bought this pan because I was doing a shotgun. It made it easier to rinse the parts when I got through with each procedure. I got some alcohol. It helps in the degreasing and de-oiling process. Don't have to have any of this stuff, but the only thing you really have to have are these gloves. You want to make sure you got plenty of gloves. And by all means, whatever you do, when you're working with any of these bottles here, no matter which one it is, don't set it down on your table and work. Set it inside of a container, because like I said on my last video, I spilled my bluing 3 or 4 times. I probably spilled and wasted about 2/3 of my bluing, to the extent that I went out today and bought another bottle separately so I could keep my kit up. These bottles here are so full, I probably got enough left in my bluing to finish the parts I've got to finish on this project, but because I'm probably going to be doing some other ones, I went ahead and got me another bottle of bluing so I could refurbish the kit, because like an idiot I spilled the heck out of mine. But anyway, if you put it in a container like that, if you spill it, you don't lose your product. You can pour it back in the bottle. You're definitely going to need, probably even with a pretty good shaped gun, some more steel wool. This is not really steel wool. It's a steel wool substitute. It's supposed to work better and not rust. But anyway, to my receiver. Here's my finished receiver. It's not perfect by any means because it's such an old gun, but it did not come out as dark as my barrel. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get it as dark as my barrel, and I think the reason why is because I'm pretty sure that this receiver was nickel plated, and I think what nickel plating was left on it after I got through cleaning it and getting the finish off of it with the bluing and rust remover. It blocked, maybe apparently blocked it from taking as much blue, but it came out a really nice deep gray, and I really think that the contrast is going to look pretty doggone good. I think I'm going to like it, so I'm kind of glad that it came out this way. But anyway, one more tip for you, or a couple more tips for you actually. They tell you to be sure not to leave the bluing on for more than about a minute. Well, they're probably right, but trust me, I left bluing on this receiver for more than a minute a couple of times, and it's not the end of the world. So whatever you do, don't rush yourself. If you get to that point and you say, oh my God, I got to hurry up, it's not the end of the world if you leave it on a few seconds more than a minute. Anyway, that's my receiver. I've got my barrel done. I've got my receiver done. Next step is going to be what I call my giblets, or my bits and pieces, and that's what I've got here. I've got all my little parts soaking in alcohol to help remove the oil and grease on them. This is my stock bolt. I've got my trigger guard, my hammer, my trigger, a bunch of other parts. Some of the parts in here are not, they're internal parts. They'll just be degreased, cleaned, and then soaked in oil. The other parts, like my trigger, my hammer, my breech release, all those parts like that show, they will be given a coat of blue. But anyway, this is part 4. I hope I said that right. This is part 4 of my gun restoration project. I also still have the stock to do, and probably kind of getting ahead of myself, but I think I'm going to try to use this stuff. I've seen some really good results where people had done some really pretty work using true oil. But we'll see, depending on what kind of grain I've got in that stock once I sand it. But anyway, there's my receiver. This is part 4 of my gun restoration project, and as soon as I get these parts done, I'll post up a vid showing you those. And by the way, on my last couple of videos on this, I did not mention, I always want to mention this, I didn't mean to leave it out. I just want to remind everybody, please, please keep the pressure on your legislators. Don't give up. Ruger.com has got a real good link to, and makes it really easy to contact your legislators. Make sure that you remind them that you fully expect them to protect your constitutional freedoms. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is not just about the guns, but it is about freedom and liberty. And they work for you. It is not the other way around. But anyway, for the time being, this is Donnie D, and I'll see you next time. Bye.